Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. I just want to tell all of you all the calls and things I've been getting about last week's show. We're here now, and you got to deal with us. But welcome to the show. We can talk about the Washington team not being in. We'll tell you who we think are the best players on their team this year, but we're going to talk the playoffs. And before I get started, you know I got my old crew back here, and I'm going to say one thing with them. Okay, the young lady she went 4-0 in our picks. The young man, he's leaving the show early. He used to be a wide receiver. I'm not going to use names on this. He did okay, but he's behind us now. Homer, I don't know how Homer's doing, but Homer Jones back on the show. Then we got Big Daddy. How'd you do last week, Big Daddy? Did you come out all right with your picks? Oh, you don't know you Big Daddy? Remember? Adam.
I did fine.
Big Daddy.
I did fine.
All right.
I hadn't hit him yet, Tony.
Okay, guys, what do you guys think about this Washington team? We're going to do a few minutes of them very quickly. They showed, as I said last week, they showed that they did deserve to be there. And we look at our offensive player of the year, and that's the guy, Gary, and I'm going to start with you, our player of the year. Give me your assessment on him, McCullough.
He's definitely the guy that needs to be there. I mean, he's the guy that needs to be there. I mean, offensively, he was kind of like the lightning rod for the Washington football team this year. He always came out and played well. He always came out and played hard. He became a distraction for other teams, which also helps your offense. When you become a distraction for the other team, it helps the other players, the other weapons you have on your offense. So, I mean, T-Mac definitely deserves the most valuable player, the offensive most valuable player this year for the Washington football team. And I only look at more great things from him. He's a gentleman that I think if he can stay in Washington for his whole career, he'll be the person that goes after Art's all-time record.
Oh, now that's interesting. So, Donna, what do you give me your assessment? What about the quarterback situation, Donna?
Well, that's the tough one, Tony, with looking forward to this Washington football team, because to me, that's the key position that they have to decide on what they're doing. Alex Smith is not for sure if he's coming back next year. And then you had, so many moving parts. You had 4 quarterbacks throughout this season for this Washington football team. So do they go into the draft and get a quarterback? Do they look for another veteran quarterback to come in? And to me, in order to secure this offense up, they've got to make sure that quarterback position is solid moving forward. And they put together some great other areas on this team, moving parts, so there's something to build on. But if you don't get the quarterback position settled, they're going to have trouble moving forward as a team.
Now, I know you fans out there clamoring right now and saying, why didn't they mention Mike Baker on the picks? I wanted him to be special. Mike, how did your picks go this last week, Michael?
Well, what can I say? I am at the bottom, and I've been truly embarrassed. And this morning I got word from the White House that Donald Trump will be pardoning 100 more people tomorrow. I immediately made my contact in the White House. It's probably somebody who works in the dietary office. And I asked him if he saw Donald to please ask him to add me to the pardon list, because I had the worst picks in 36 years. What can I say?
And you sure are in jail.
Hey, Mike, is that fake news? Mike, is that fake news?
No,
No, that's legit. That's
the worst.
It's legit. Milton is legit. Okay, well, let's go back. Excuse my camera, it keeps jumping in and out, but let me ask you this, Milton. What about that offensive line? I'm not really happy. They say it's improved somewhat, but it didn't look as to me that they could drive people off the ball the way an offense. And you look at the playoffs, look how those lines are really performing. And you look at the teams that won, and as you said, that Cleveland may be in a steal or whatever, but at the same time, all those teams can run the ball well. And that's what Washington will have to do next year.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. And keep in mind, this year is kind of like an anomaly in a sense that we had an opportunity to compete in the NFC East and perhaps win the division, and so we did. Now I think we go back to what Ron's initial plan was, and that is to build this team. That offensive line is going to be one I think will draw a lot of attention in this offseason. I expect to see some new names, and in fact, they've already, I think they signed Roulier to an extended contract. But anyway, I see them making some improvements in this offensive line in the offseason. We'll be better. We'll be better.
Running back wise, Adam.
Well, that's the big question for me. Do you stick with Antonio Gibson, who was good this year? Or do you try to get somebody who's a home run hitter who can help you in other ways? Because but you also have to decide, Tony, do you want a power back like Gibson, or do you want an elusive back who can get the big run and score a touchdown for you with 90 yards or more?
Well, you know what? I like that, but I would get just what Tampa has. Tampa has a big guy, and Tampa has a speed guy, and they use them very well. And right now in the playoffs, I think that's most important. And Donna, you know yourself, I always thought they should have kept Peterson here a little longer. I mean, I know he's not what he used to be, but I still feel that he was better than what we had this year. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Tony, Adrian Peterson would have helped them. I know it was a number game as far as this whole season in who they keep and who they have to let go. And I know that they were building on the younger guys, but hindsight looking back, Adrian Peterson would have been a big key for this Washington football team, if no more than to help the younger guys coming along and his production also, because up in Detroit, he did do a good job up that way, Tony, but Ron Rivera said something key when his last interview as exiting this season. He said, and you well know, Tony, that in order to build the team with, you got the receivers, running backs and all that, it starts with the line, the offensive line and the defensive line. And he said that those two areas is where they're going to start with, along with the quarterback position. I think they're all right with the running backs that they have right now, because that's not an area that they need to build. They've got so many other holes that they need to fill, and the running back position is not one of the ones. I think they're good with those guys moving forward.
Okay, you've got your first round pick, and you're the Washington team. What do you pick?
I'm going for a quarterback if a quarterback is out there.
You don't try to trade and get a one with experience. You would go for one in the draft, huh?
Yeah, because I think that they've been using so many, and Les is one of the key backups, but I don't think any of those guys are going to be out there. But I think that in order for this Washington football team to get a solid guy in here, to me, they've got to pull somebody out of the draft if it's one of those high draft picks. And Washington, I think, picks 18th or 19th. And I think a quarterback is key for them moving forward in building this team on the offensive side of the ball.
Jerry, who would you pick? Would it be a receiver, or would you go offensive line?
I would try to do something in the lineman aspect, because you got to shore up that line. In terms of the quarterback position, honestly, I hope Alex comes back, because when he is on the field, if he is somewhat healthy, he wins.
Yeah, he does.
Honestly, if we'd have had Alex play the last game, we probably would have beat Tampa, quite honestly. I mean, it's leadership that also comes, that inspires at the end of the day.
I like that.
Young man came in and did a great job. I think he'll be a solid backup for anybody. I really do. The young man that finished out the season for us, I think, and be a solid backup for anybody. But I'm not sure if he's the guy, because if you're the guy, you win that game.
And
but Tony, do you want to go with an Alex Smith, knowing that he only was in like 5 or 6 games? This is not through training camp. It's not OTAs. It's not the whole season, as far as what, he puts the pressure on that leg. So can he go through a whole season? And would you want to take that chance, even with the experience, like Gary said, Alex Smith on the team is good in a sense, but right now you don't need it to be shaky where Is he going to be able to make it through the whole season? Would you go with not knowing that?
Or you go out and get the kid out of Houston. You go take the Houston quarterback.
Yeah, thank you. That's the one, Tony. If you're going to get somebody, Watson is the guy that I would be looking to bring in here.
But do you think Watson's going to lead? I know he's unhappy right now. I know he doesn't like the way things is going. They got rid of his #1 receiver, got rid of the coach. Watson's talking about he wants to leave. So do you think that guy will be available? But I agree with you, Donna. I wouldn't go into the season wanting only Alex Smith there for the simple aspect that he is the reason that they went to the playoffs this year. Yeah. But at the same time, it took about 3 or 4 games and then he was out again. So I make sure I had a capable backup for sure. But I don't know at that pick in the draft if I would think it was a player that could play right now. That would be my concern.
It has to be concentrated on the line. I don't care what anybody says.
Me too. That's the way I feel.
Back there, because the reason why Alex only got to play that amount of time because he's not protected. I mean, it really comes down to protecting your person. You're not protected. I don't care who you are. Even if you're Brady, if you're not protected, you're going down.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how the turf was taking out quarterback. But as I said before, I think if you have a line, that'll go a long way in keeping quarterbacks healthy to some extent. But let me ask you this, because I see something that was started back at the beginning of the season and is still going on now. Ron came in and says, we're going to change the culture. We're going to rebuild. Then he brought in Scott Turner, and he was faithful to Scott Turner. Does Scott Turner's system require a marquee quarterback, given the fact we've had a parade of quarterbacks through here that if any of them could have stayed healthy for some consistency, folks that have been in the system a while, probably, we could have fared better. So I'm just wondering, my heart goes to an offensive line. Because I don't think even from the running game, I don't think Scott has a passion to run the ball. I think it's his DNA to throw it, but I think they want just a consistent running back. So I think those folks are in the house right now. I think what really is going to sell out is we'll probably pick up a quarterback who can already read defenses and already knows kind of the game. I don't think they want to rebuild.
It's also going to have to be a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Mobile, yes, absolutely.
Quarterback, because if the line does not get fixed up, it's have to be that person who's a game changer. So
that's true.
You have to make defenses be on your heels. But if I rush him too much, he runs away and gets tons of yardage. So I mean, the kid from Houston, the kid from Baltimore, those are the kind of prototypical quarterbacks. The kid from Kansas City, those are the type of quarterbacks now that if you have our system and you have our problems with the line, it kind of like band-aids it, quite honestly. It kind of puts it out.
Yeah.
I may not want to flush you out of the pocket because you can do more damage to me than your running back ever could.
But have you ever thought about that maybe the game plan was what it was because of the talent up on the offensive line?
But Tony, the offensive line actually got better.
You think so?
I think that down the stretch, because you think about Alex Smith down the stretch of those last 4 or 5 games, and whoever else was in there, the quarterback wise, is that they did give him enough time. The running game would have been better if they would have ran the ball, but they didn't really commit to running the ball. Like Milton said, is that everybody wants to be a pass offense, but you got to have, like you said, in the playoff running game. If you got a running game, you're better. But I think the offensive line over on that left side did a pretty good job. But I think, like Gary said, they have to build. But I still think that if you don't get a quarterback in here that is mobile, and I forgot about Watson, he would fit into this offense.
But we're taking a break right now. But did you guys notice what Donna Hopkins said? She said they played better over on the left side. It's a line. It ain't a left side of the line. It's a line.
I said that they need to have a little bit of help.
We'll be back in a moment and talk a little bit about the defense. Welcome back to the show. And as you know, the Washington team went to the playoffs. So we had to have a pretty good defense because defense wins championships. You know, Gary Clark had to leave for a meeting, so I'm going to talk about him now. He's just mad because he's second in the picks. And did you guys notice in the early part when we started talking about how bad the picks were, we had a guy talk, then he took himself off camera. I don't know, Michael, what happened, man?
Well, you know what? I'm running a Zoom thing here, and I saw 4 boxes, and I thought that looks better than 5 boxes. But then I realized it needed to be 6 boxes to balance
You
out.
sure? You sure it wasn't because you're in 5th place? It had nothing to do.
Trust me, you don't think I haven't been razzed by everybody that ever met me in my lifetime? I'm not going to trash the NFL Network because I love Good Morning Football. That's my favorite show of all shows. But I will say I listened to way too many analysts this season, and I just messed up. I should have just trusted my heart. What can I say?
Okay, well, let's talk about just messed up. We're talking about the defensive player of the year. We got Chase Young up there. Yes, the young man had a very good year, but it's someone else that I thought should have been considered was Swift. I think he came back in this year that he started to show what they're talking about at that defensive end spot. What do you guys think? Who's your defensive player, Milt?
Wow, man, you know, I can't get Curl out of my head. I really liked his play all season long, even when he wasn't starting.
Mhm.
He still was consistent. He's fearless when it comes to run support. He's a ball hawk. And so I really liked him. Obviously, Chase Young has to be that guy. His excitement that I have, and I mean, we always say next year, but if Chase Young's playing after his rookie season at a higher level, which he will be, think about whatever else we get out of the draft that comes in that will really have a second and maybe even a third tier of people who can keep doing it on every down. Chase Young makes other people play better. He does. I mean,
You know, and it's not just his play, it's his attitude as well.
oh yeah.
When you see a rookie come in, as he's come in, number 2 in the draft, he's not cocky like that. He just wants to play. That's the one thing I saw. I had watched him a little bit early in the year, and I didn't really like his play, but I saw the fire that he has, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should have, when he said, told Brady, we're coming after you, he shouldn't have done that. Dexter did that one time when we played in San Francisco, and they made sure that everybody on that line hit Dexter every play. And you know, after a while, he knew he shouldn't talk like that. But you got Chase. I think the defensive line needs no help when Ioannidis come back at all. I think they're very good. I think he did play well, but as I said, I think Swift came on. What about you, Adam?
Well, I love Montez Sweat. He led the team in sacks this year. He was fantastic. But let me
I
tell
keep
you,
calling him Swift, don't I? I'm sorry, Sweat. Sorry about that.
Well, you call me
I
Homer
love-
Jones, Tony, so it's all good. All good.
Sweat was fantastic. He led the team in sacks. He was off the charts good. But guess what? Chase Young, to me, was the difference maker. He was tremendous from start to finish. To be as good as he was as a rookie was outstanding. I've never seen anything like it. He, to me, was their defensive player of the year.
All right, Donna.
I'm like you, Tony. I think that when you look at Chase Young, and I agree that he was the key personnel on that team, is that the energy, like you said, that he brought, the fire that he brought, the winning attitude that he brought, because he hated to lose. And when you look at it, like you said, in the beginning of the season, he was nicked up a lot. But when he got healthy, you could see the difference in his motor. And I'm like you, Tony. I don't think that they need to mess with the defensive line with Allen and Payne and then Ioannidis being back, because you are solid there. Where to me they need to look at is the linebacker position. That was the area that they suffer at a little bit. And then maybe bring in maybe a corner or another safety. To me, that's where they will improve. But like Milton said, Curl came on. So they've got some good beginning parts in the secondary. They just need to build on that. But Chase Young, Tony, I don't mind him calling out Brady or anybody, because it tells me, like Dexter, that I don't care if you are Tom Brady, I don't care if you Aaron Rodgers or whatever your quarterback is, we're coming at you. Now, it may have fired up Tampa Bay, but I like that kind of energy And I like when Dexter said it. I mean, he just made you all nervous, the rest of you all.
Oh, you know you would like it. How many times your hand been in the dirt?
Hey, Tony, I didn't need to
How
because
many times you thought, I don't mind.
my hands was
Everybody
on
on
the,
that.
hey, Tony, my hands was on the basketball, putting
Oh,
the basketball through the hoop. You know, I
hands
mean,
being on the basketball don't put it through the hoop. But we'll talk about that another time. But everybody on the team said, "Shut up, Dexter." That was Butts hollering over in the game and said, "Shut up." But I tell you, it is a difference. So, Mike, what do you think on the defense?
Well, you know, that's one of the great distinct pleasures I've had over the years is I get to pick the players of the week. And when I get to the end of the year and it's the players of the season, I do get some input from you all. So I did text you about.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
I did text you whether it's
Mike just
Sweat.
did to us.
I did, honest. I did text you.
I pick it, and I do get a little input from you.
hey, Tony, I didn't get no
Hey,
email.
Y'all need to check your spam folders.
No,
Right.
I didn't get any.
I went with Gary.
Have he ever called in there?
And then before I picked Chase Young, I texted you at 4 a.m. in the morning to make sure.
Right.
Well, that explains it.
Oh, you
Hit me back by 4:15.
They come at inordinate hours. You know,
Okay, Governor, you can finish now.
No, yeah, I did. Everybody thinks Chase Young was sort of the all-around selection, but I'll tell you, the guy that really came on that defensive line toward the end of the season, he seems to be coming into his own. That one swim move that I saw when they were playing Tampa Bay was amazing, and that's Deron Payne. You know, I think next year, I think he is going to be a major, huge presence in that middle. I think you combine that, as I said, with Young and Sweat. But I do agree with Donna. I think we've got, of course, one of the better linebackers who's been hurt the last 2 years. And he's not with us now, but he'll be back next year. You're going to have him back.
Reuben Foster.
Yeah. You could, and not only that, but you've got, when I don't mean to go back to offense, but don't forget you've got Bryce Love sitting there too. So you're going to have a beast of a running back to go with the other encore running back. So yeah, I mean, but watch Deron Payne next year. Watch him.
I like the move that he made, but I also had to take in consideration it was on a second string guy because the first string guy had got hurt to play before. And with the rest of the game, I didn't see Payne do too much. I like him, and I'm not going against him because he's one of their better players. But I thought at the end of the year, he could have played a little better than what he did. But
Let me ask you this, Tony. Given the fact that he is a marquee player and he, don't they have to keep an eye on what he's doing? And you said you were a little concerned about his play consistently, but he reminds me on the interior of that line, somebody that they want to keep an eye on all the time. So if that's actually a plus to his favor, isn't it? Would you say?
Yes, it is. But now, as I said, I didn't say his play all the time. I think he played towards the end of the year. It didn't seem as he had the motor like he did in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm referring to, you know, that because you could just tell those two young defensive ends, to me, played better than the defensive tackles in the playoffs in that game. So I had to take the assessment there. What's going on? I know these guys are younger, but he's only in his third year, so he's not that both of those defensive tackles. But at the same time, I would start my line with them. What they got right now, I think they have one of the better defensive lines in the game, and they're only going to get better. What do you think, Adam?
Well, I think defensively, their line is. I think it's the best in football. I really do. I know they didn't show it against the Bucs. I know at the end they had some problems, but you know what? Matt Ioannidis is going to be back, and I think he's very underrated. People forget he led the team in sacks in the 2019 season. Here you got all the guys coming back this year from this past year. Their defensive line was tremendous. He'll only add to how good they are.
Hey, Tony, a question for you. When you look at the scope of this defense, the 4-3 defense that they're in now, do you think that they mixed it up enough on defense as far as the play calling, as far as being aggressive, as far as going after the quarterback? What did you see there as far as that you think that can improve a little bit more?
And we got about a minute, so I'm going to make this quick. And you look at it, what they need to improve is do more schemes and more games up front. When I say games, that's when linemen are changing positions. I didn't see a lot of that. I would have liked to see more blitzing, but when you have a quality line as they do, you want the 4 men to get to the quarterback. You don't want to have to blitz or do anything like that. I look at they did well with that. They probably could have done a little bit better if they ran more games up front. But at the same time, I have no problem with this defensive line. I don't know if they're the best right now, but I know they're in the top 3. So when we come back, we'll talk about kickers. Now that Mike Baker has told you guys who picks Tress, I jumped the gun. Now everybody know who our MVP. We'll be back in a minute. Well, welcome back. And if any of you have watched this show, you know that every week our player of the week on special teams is picked by our producer. And as he made clear earlier in the show, he wants no help from us. So you know Tress Way is our special teams player of the week. That's old news, Mikey. You got some new news you want to come to us with.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up for you all. On the NFL chat wire, there's some discussion of 2 things. I want to throw 2 things out to you right away and see what you think. The first one is the Jets may be departing from Sam Darnold. And the one thing, Donna was correct, the one thing, the top on the priority list for Ron Rivera is a franchise quarterback. So if you got Sam Darnold sitting there, he had a horrible offensive line to protect him the last 2.5, 3 years. He's sitting there. He's still under a rookie contract. There are thoughts that you might get him for a 2, possibly if they decide to draft Justin Fields. The other thing out on the waiver wire is now that Urban Meyer has taken the Jacksonville job. He thinks highly of Dwayne Haskins. I would be shocked if he didn't at least sign Dwayne as a backup quarterback. If he doesn't, boy, will that speak volumes. He's also going to be going after Terry McLaurin in 2 more years. Once he has his option year, he's going to go after him. So just be prepared.
Well, and I like what you said about the Jets and everything, their quarterback, but will you be getting a player or a name? I know his line was not that good, but he hasn't really proved that he's that good. So why go out and get somebody? And then when you talk about, I think you should, if you can't get somebody that has played well before, then go in the draft and get you a young quarterback and develop them.
Watson, I would go after Watson. I wouldn't go after. He's proven. If I'm going,
but you don't know if he's going to be there, do you?
You'll have a lot of suitors, and I don't know. That Ron doesn't show me that he's that kind of guy. But even though they call him Riverboat, I don't think he's very particular about how much he wants to put toward an individual.
You think? I'm sorry.
But I agree with Tony.
Cam?
No,
I don't think so. I think he knows about Cam what most don't know. And we don't know what that is yet. I think it showed up in New England a little bit this year. But Mike said that the waiver wire said, or that the scuttlebutt was that he's looking for a franchise quarterback. I don't think that's Donaldson. Just from the scope of work. So I think that quarterback is going to be somebody, like Gary said earlier. He's got to be able to go off script and do some work with his feet when the play breaks down. And I don't know if that player is in the draft this year to
Watson fits
he would
that.
get it.
Watson fits everything you just said. As
But
far
he'll
as
cost
mobile, go off for script. He's already proven. You're going to have to pay a little bit for him, but he would be worth. This is a quarterback that you could build your future on moving forward because he's still young.
Yeah, but you're gonna gut your defense because that's where they're going. They're not just taking a draft choice. They're gonna take at least 1 or 2 of those good players. And I don't think you want to rebuild a defensive line. And even if it was your offensive line was that good, you wouldn't want to get rid of them because right now, everything we've said over the years in this show is starting to come to fruition. And what it is, when you got a good offensive defensive line, you got a chance.
Yeah.
And that's the reason the Washington team got to the playoffs this year. They have a good defensive line. And that's the first thing anybody want to make a trade. He gonna go down there, and Watts is talking about leaving too. I mean, you know, they're gonna go after not just a draft choice, but they'll also go after players.
Well,
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
agree with you,
like
Tony.
I'm not giving up any of my defensive line people. No way.
What about Urban Meyer? What do you all think about him possibly signing Dwayne Haskins as his backup, or maybe even his starter?
It may be, but now they got to remember one thing: Haskins only played with him for 1 year, so he don't. How much does he know about him? Would he take that chance? But he does have that 1 year. So what do you think, Adam?
I agree with you, Tony. I think he'll take a chance on him just because of familiarity, but I don't expect him to start for Jacksonville, not after what we've seen on film here.
Yeah, and we don't
Urban
know that
Myers is coming in, Tony. Urban Myers is coming into a pro situation. This is not college anymore. So if I'm a first-time coach in the NFL, I'm not going to take just any guy just because I know him, but I'm going to start building my team in order to be able to win immediately, because you can't take chances coming into the NFL because you won't be here long.
Well, you know, now y'all heard Donna say if she's a coach, she was offensive lineman last time, and a basketball player in between. You do all sports, huh, Donna?
That's
Pretty
Donna.
much, Tony. Pretty much.
You know, the one thing that we need to keep in mind, and when you look at a team like Philadelphia that is 40, 50, 60 million dollars over the cap right now, and they're facing a Wentz problem. But the Washington football team is 60 or so million dollars under the cap. I don't want to bring up Bruce Allen's name, but I will say this. He did get us way under the cap, and this, financially speaking, this team is in the best shape it's ever been in terms of being able to sign players and be able to afford players. And so kudos to the Washington financial office for that. That's for sure.
That is true. But then you mentioned another name of a person that why would Washington want him here? And that's Wentz.
Thank you.
Since his first year, he hasn't really done anything that's been spectacular.
They want to interview Eric Bieniemy, and in interviewing him, they're already going to tell him that Wentz is the starter next year. They've already decided that. They can't.
I wouldn't go there then, because I would
Yeah.
want somebody telling me who is going to be my starting quarterback.
Especially
Tony.
if he's got to cook the meal. He said he wants to buy the groceries too. We can't.
Right.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Adam?
Tony, I got a quick question for you. After what Marvin Lewis did with the Bengals and what a job he did and how bad they were before he got there and what they've been since he left, which is not good at all, why hasn't he gotten another opportunity to be a head coach?
Well, you know what, it comes to it just like being a player. He's older now. He's been out there a while. They know his product, and they look at that situation. Yes, he made the Bengals a lot better, but he got to a place where he was stuck, and he never got there. I don't think they ever won a playoff game or anything. So
No, they didn't.
people will always look at that, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of guys in here coaching that can't coach as well as he can. But at the same time, you start looking at age as a factor, and then people know your game plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It still
right,
comes
Joe.
down to players too, but if you look at the OC and DC trends in the NFL, I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot younger, and owners seem to be willing to take greater chances in that arena than a proven.
Now, y'all can
track.
tell Milton is well-versed. He said OC and DC. For all of you that don't know, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Okay. He threw that. He just like Mike did with Mike. Well, I produce. Mike, you had something else there. What else?
Hey, I felt like we were around the fireplace talking. I'm sorry, I lost sight of the fact.
Tony, what about Todd Bowles? I mean, Urban Myers, they hired him. Todd Bowles is a proven guy in the NFL. To me, sometimes they pass over guys that should be getting the opportunity. Todd Bowles got a jet team that wasn't really good, and they didn't give him, to me, a proper opportunity. But his name has not been called on right now for some of those open coaching jobs. Myers, it's just because of what he did for Ohio State and some of the other ones. But what about a Todd Bowles?
Okay, Myers is probably around the same age or maybe younger. And they're looking at that. And you got to look at Todd's 50, probably in his late 40s, early 50s. And they're looking at everybody want the young coaches. You will notice on TV each and every game, they're always referring to, oh, he's the youngest coach. He was 34 when he was 32, 33. Those three coaches they're talking about. So now everybody's looking for that young coach that they can get in there. And I think Todd should be mentioned too, but it's just like everyone else. When you get there and you've been there a while and you're older, they're looking for someone new. So, you know, and I think he should be mentioned, but now he's just a lifetime coordinator. And that's what he's probably going to be. Maybe he'll get another shot. But see, when he got that shot, he improved the teams, but he didn't take them to the level that they wanted to. So now they'll put him in that offensive coordinator. It's just like myself. When I came into the game, my biggest thing was I could run and I was big and I played everything. But then they saw when I run 4.5 in the 40. You hear that, Donna? 4.5 in the 40. They started making me a designated pass rusher. And that's what I was the rest of my career. And if they needed, I could play every down, but they made me a designated pass rusher. And they probably lengthened my career. So same thing with coaches, same thing with players.
Well, you know, I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. You guys are so good on your picks. I want to pick your brains in terms of those two games next weekend. So can we take a break and save a little bit of time so we can talk?
Yeah, what you going to say that to last? You're going to have your name on there though, right? We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we've had so many people clamoring about last week's show. So we're going to bring you back a little piece from last week where we talk not just football, we bring some other stories to you. We'll be back from this break in a minute. You know, guys,
which team do you see as far as the dominant team? You talked about Kansas City slipping a little bit. I don't see that. But when you look at that matchup between Cleveland and Kansas City, where's the strengths right there for Cleveland versus Kansas City? We know that Kansas City got all these weapons on offense, but can their defense hold up against Cleveland? Because to me, Cleveland is a hot team coming into the playoffs right now.
You know, I want James to mention that because he looked at the league. But let me tell you this. The one thing Cleveland has is scary, and Buffalo has that as well. They got a running game. Cleveland has a running game that's probably the best one in the playoffs right now. When Joe Green was on the show about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I told him that the team with the best running game was going to beat Pittsburgh. And that's what happened. And as you look at it, come on, JB, as you look at it around the league, Cleveland right now, if you look at their running game, their quarterback is adequate. Their defense can be outstanding. They got good special teams. This team could be very dangerous.
Hey, and Tony, as I've learned a long time ago, and this is not to back off of it, I try to stay in my lane, if you will. I know really in terms of you guys bringing the insight and expertise, I've learned so much from all of you. And even as Gary Clark was saying, depending upon how they want to utilize us. Now, if I'm on the show and I hear this from Gary, I would like to know what he's seen as a team that remains alive, that has a wide receiving core that maybe isn't being utilized enough. I like the stories that are associated with each of these teams. But you know what, at the end of the day, and again, all of you can go so much deeper than me. I still like that fellow who plays quarterback in Green Bay. You talk about a leader and everybody following him. 16 years in the league and what he's doing, and he's telling folks to quiet down, settle down. We got this, relax. I mean, I like him. I like him a lot. So,
Is that the best team in the East, the Green Bay Packers?
Well, now, you know what? Well, the NFC is on Howie's side. I would let him do that, but I wouldn't be upset to see him playing. Howie, who do you like on the East then?
Well, I think, you know, as was mentioned, I think Tampa Bay, if you're looking from top to bottom, but you know, it's less about, it all looks good on paper, but how do you play as a team? And the guy quarterback in Green Bay.
Yeah. He's a beast.
Oh my gosh.
Gary saved the beast.
Hey, he's like the smarmy kid in class that knows all the answers to the test, and he's letting you know it. You know, he's so casual about the way he plays. his wide receiver is, you know, I don't know.
17's unbelievable.
He's about as good as you can get in this league, and he makes it look easy. The quarterback makes it look easy, and he makes it look easy.
Now we only got a few minutes
Conditions,
left.
guys.
Donna, you've been waiting. Now you gotta ask Howie something else before we get off, because you've been waiting for this for 20 years and you haven't got an opportunity. So what have
Hey,
you?
Howie, as far as your sons followed right in your footsteps. Who is the most of your sons close to how you played the game? Or is it both of them? I don't want to get you in trouble with your sons.
No, I don't think you will. I mean, Chris played defensive end. I was a 3-4 defensive end, and Tony knows what that is. That's a 2-gap defensive end. And the closer I was to the center, the more comfortable I was. The closer I got out to space, the oxygen got thin. I like it right inside, which is, most people don't like to play in that area, but I like to play there. Chris played outside, so we were two different guys. Kyle physically and probably more from a temperament standpoint was, you know, because I thought Kyle played offensive guard like a defensive lineman. And first 3 years in the league, he was on fire. I mean, he 3-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro, you know, the whole thing, and was on his way, and then got rolled up on down in Tampa Bay, and they went in on both sides of his ankle, and you know, one thing just leads to another. Then he has neck fusion surgery and shoulder surgery, and all that kind of hurts you. But I enjoyed watching. I had the opportunity to coach them for 8 years in high school,
Wow.
which was fun. I'd coach Monday through Friday, and then I wouldn't coach on game day because I didn't want to be a distraction. But enjoyed, and what a ride it was. And this is actually the first year in 40 years that my wife isn't at a stadium every week, and she's not dealing with it real well.
Hey, Donna, if I can say this in terms of a close up on Howie's kids, only because he allowed me to be, if you will, the adopted uncle from the outside looking in. I love the fact, almost like the Mannings with their 3 boys, Howie and Diane were awesome in terms of they kept the focus on each one individually. Easy for us to talk about the other 2 who were in the league, but they poured as much into Howie Jr. as well. But what I used to love on Sunday mornings would be the phone call that would come from Diane before Howie went on the air, Gary, and Howie has to go and threaten the boys. I'm like, big boy, what's going on? Why are you threatening the boys? He said they have taken their bicycles up on the sliding board that goes into the pool that's meant for humans, and they got the bicycles, Gary, going high in the air, dashing in the pool.
Hey, you know, I didn't realize this, but I remember Kyle fractured his jaw, and I coached Little League baseball too. And Kyle was one of those kids. He got drafted by the White Sox out of high school.
Yeah, hell of a baseball player. Yeah.
Yeah, hell of a baseball player. And when he was 8, he was playing with 12-year-olds. So here he is out in the outfield during batting practice. And batting practice is just a bunch of people in the outfield. I got it. Or one guy's got it. Guy says, I got it. Kyle put his glove down. The guy put his glove down, hits Kyle in the jaw. So he had a minor crack in his jaw, and I take him to the hospital. And I wasn't aware of this. And I understood by the questions the woman was asking me that we got red flagged on the computer because we'd been to the hospital so many times. They were concerned that there was abuse going on at home. I said, whoa, I see where this is going. I'm in my coaching outfit. He's got his Little League baseball outfit on. I said, you can take him in the back room, just help him. You can ask him any questions you want. I understand. We were in the hospital a lot.
You know, that happened to me one time. Howie, my son was up at his school and he fell. He broke his collarbone, and I took him to and I owned a physical therapy clinic at that time. Took him to my orthopedic doctor, and I noticed the door shut and the questions got low.
Yeah.
I said, oh, wait. But let me tell you guys, and I want you fans to know this. You guys may not know all of these people we got on the show here, but I've been on the show for 36 years. All these people have been instrumental in it. Howie was there, and I tell you what, I saw this young man after a game in '83 that we played a big game. They call it the Super Bowl. And you know what? I was feeling bad because they had just tore us a new one, talking about the Raiders. And Howie came and said, "I've been watching you
Wow.
all my life play."
Yeah.
And you know how old that made me feel? We had just lost the game. He was a superstar, and he said, "I've been watching you all my life." So I said, "It's time to retire."
Now
And he
people,
said,
hey
"Yeah."
Tony, people think I worked for Skechers all my life, or Chevy, or Radio Shack. They don't even know that I played. They forget you real quick.
I know that. Now, JB, you know what? I remember when I first met JB and stuff, and it's always been, he and I have always been friends. We met a long time ago when we were both still young. I'm just wondering that all these years and all this, why he hasn't talked to Doc more. Because we met Doc at the same time, and Doc just didn't, he still doesn't have an idea. You notice when we start talking football, he kind of got quiet, but then when we start talking marbles or something, he's right in the game.
Hey, Doc always made it fun. But you know what? The thing about all of you all as athletes, and I know Gary is right there with it. I tell people it may sound like an oxymoron, but when I was doing that up and down weight thing and still trying to hang in, Howie would take me to the gym down there at Gold's in LA. As a matter of fact, we walked in and there was some actor in there, big old dude, about 6'8", 340 pounds. And I'm looking at him with my mouth open. Howie said, "Look, close your mouth, because if he comes over here, I'm the one who's going to have to deal with him. And I'm going to put the barbell and go at his mouth." Doc Walker, when I was weighing about 290, Doc said, "JB, I love seeing you on TV turn sideways." You understand? Gary, I think Gary just didn't want to mess with me, and I didn't want him to mess with me. But I love all you guys because all of you helped to pour into me, which I'm sure Donna can relate to. One is Coach Madden and Cower and everybody else says, I respect the game that you guys played. I know how much you loved it. And I just want to make certain I'm doing a good job for as long as I am to do this, to make sure I respect you guys and show the same love as well. So
Maybe if I were half as nice as you, I'd have to go to bed at 7:30.
Welcome back. Welcome to the playoffs. We got a few minutes here. We need to talk about those teams. You got a Kansas City that's waiting for Buffalo, but is their quarterback? Is the quarterback going to be the game breaker? Then you got Brady. Who's the other team they playing?
Green Bay.
Tough one.
Green who?
Green Bay.
Do they have
Battle
any
of the
good players
Bays.
Do they have any good players on this Green Bay team?
They got one. They got
Yeah,
at
we know.
least one.
The only thing I look at that game that may be the biggest difference is they're playing up in Green Bay. They don't have the fans, but I think it's going to be about 25 degrees there. And so I look at both sides of the ledger there and say, okay, I'm not worried about Brady. I'm not worried about Donovan Sue. I'm not worried about those type players. But what about those players that's used to playing in good weather this time of year?
And that would
to be a factor.
Yeah, Tony, that would be a Tom Brady, because when you look at his career in New England, when he had to play in the cold weather down the stretch in his last year, he had some problems as far as just holding the ball. And so to me, when you take him up to Green Bay and it's supposed to be 20-some degrees,
And
that changes the whole dynamics of everything in Aaron Rodgers' favor. And Aaron Rodgers has had an all-pro year. And that offense, they run the ball. They may not be the best on defense, where Tampa is good on defense, but I got to give the edge to Green Bay, because Brady, how goes that offense?
I agree with Donna on this one, because by far, Aaron Rodgers is just, probably in my opinion, he's in a category by himself, man, because he brings some extra things to it. And even with Brady, I think Aaron is a better quarterback, and that will be the difference in the game. Not so much. I don't think it will be the defense that will be the problem, and how great Green Bay's defense can be. Part of Green Bay's defense is Aaron Rodgers playing offense. And so, you got to keep up with what they produce in the way of points. So I give a lean toward Green Bay as well.
Yeah, but I don't think Green Bay has as good a team. And, I just don't think their defense is as good as it needs to be. But the weather, that may be just a large enough factor that changes the whole thing. And I kind of understand what you guys are saying. Adam, give me your thought on it.
Well, I actually agree with Milton. I think Aaron Rodgers
Oh,
is the
wait,
better
wait a minute,
quarterback.
wait a minute, hold
With
up.
Milton this week.
No, I agree with you. I
Man,
think Aaron
that's-
Rodgers overall
sound like a
is a better
rash.
quarterback than Tom Brady. The difference is they do the same things, right? But Aaron Rodgers can also beat you with his legs.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two.
That's the
Now,
key.
having
Yeah.
said that, I think Tampa's the better football team. I think they have the better defense.
I do
I think
too.
they have the better weapons. And because of that, I'm picking the Bucks to win.
You know, I'm with you on that, but the thing about it is I'm just thinking the weather. See, I've played in both
Yep.
of them,
That's
and
a
I've
good
seen
point.
how some guys play when it's cold and when some guys play when it's not. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what,
Right.
weather is a big factor. I can remember a game, it was the wind chill was 30 below. We were playing up in Minnesota. And you know, man, they had to get cattle prods to get us off the bench. You know, we didn't even want to go in the game. So, you know, that's going to be a factor. Mike.
Yeah, I agree. I think that weather is gonna make it a level. playing
Now
field.
let's jump to the other side. That's what I think is going to be a factor down there too. That Buffalo, if it had been played in Buffalo, I would have been picking them because I felt like they're the better team. But now they're going up to the Kansas City, but Kansas City got some problems, guys.
Well, you know
Yeah, they
what,
do.
Tony, don't forget what we said at the very beginning of the year, and we've got to stick with it here. So we know how you're going to pick. We said this, that Kansas City would not win another Super Bowl 2 in a row. We both said that. I've got it on record. So we've got to go against Kansas City, and we got to go with Buffalo. But I got to get in on the Brady thing. I got to get on the Brady. There's no way anybody is ever going to be any better than Brady. There's no pocket passer ever to play the game any better than he is. But I will say one thing, you don't have Antonio Brown in that game, all of a sudden you got a problem, because once Antonio Brown went out of that game on Sunday night, it was a problem for Brady.
You're right. I do have, and then the other thing is Green Bay gets some good pass rush every 2 or 3 plays. So that's going to be another factor. But we only got about a minute left. Do we want to do our picks now? You want to do it in secret, Mike?
Well,
Mike does a little bit of both.
Hey, y'all, do you see how he orchestrated that? He threw all these points out to see, and he's watching each of you guys
watch
do your head like this. So he know how you're going to pick.
way too much NFL Network. I'm always so confused. Donna, why don't you give us the totals so that everybody can see them on the screen, and then we will also share our picks. We'll do them off the show, but they'll be on the screen during the show. What are the totals, Donna?
Well, Tony and I are tied at 53 and 31. Gary is close behind at 52 and 32. And Milton, I mean, you tried.
He said give the picks. He didn't say get commentary.
And Mike,
he said just give the picks.
You've never been like this, Mike, in last place. So it's a 3-way race for the championship in the picks between Tony, myself, and Gary.
And we got to say this, Tony, real quick before you go, and that is you've added an extra show. So we will have a Super Bowl show. So not only will you pick picks this week, but you'll also pick the Super Bowl winner, right, Tone?
Exactly. So we're going all the way this year, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. And we want you fans to know we have added another show. We'll be going all the way to the beginning of February, and we'll still be on there telling these lies, but we're going to tell you the truth. And when we come back next week, I'll be in the lead. So until that time. I will be
number one.
She didn't even say that with confidence. In the minute.
Happy birthday,
Tony.
Tony.
Thank you.